Hello everyone and welcome back to the Magnus Invitational. We are at the final game between Ding Liren and Fabiano Caruana, basically game 5. This is the Armageddon. Ding gets 5 minutes, whereas Fabi gets 4 minutes on the clock, but Ding has to win in order to win the match, and Fabi only needs a draw. That's how Armageddon works, and as I understand it, Fabi won the coin toss or whatever they're using to give whoever wins the coin toss the opportunity to choose whether he will be black or white. Fabi won, and then he chose that he prefers to be black. So Ding is the one that's forced to win here. So yeah, that being said, let's see how Ding went about this. So Ding opens with the Reti, knight to f3, we have d5 and g3. So what we've already seen, g6, bishop g2, bishop to g7, and d4 now. We have knight to f6 by Fabi and castles now, c6, strengthening on d5, and b3 now, preparing to develop this bishop by also fianchettoing it. We have castles and now just c4, and also this is a very nice calm approach. You're gonna fianchetto both of your bishops, slowly but steadily develop your pieces, instead of just rushing into some crazy positions like a maniac because you need to win the game. So a5 by Fabi, bishop to f5 was the most common move here. a5 is somewhat rarer, but Fabi also makes very nice use of it. We have a5 and knight to c3 now. We have knight to e4. Fabi has a clear idea of this a5, so he goes for knight to e4. He wants to capture the knight on c3 and then bust open the queen side with a4. So bishop to b2, and now knight captures on c3. Bishop captures and now a4. So makes sense. We have c captures by Ding, c captures, and now just b captures on a4. And here Ding wins a pawn. However, his pawns are doubled here, and Fabi obviously knows these positions since he goes into it. So bishop to d7 goes after the a4 pawn, and now queen b3, saying that okay, you capture on a4, I'm gonna pick up the b7 pawn. And there is one game in the database where e6 was played, but here Fabi just grabs the pawn, and it is as of move 13 that we have a completely new game. So Ding goes for the b7 pawn, threatens to win the rook, and now knight to c6. Now everything is nicely defended. So rook f to b1. Putting more pressure on the b file. We have queen to d6, now preparing to bring the other rook into the game, hopefully trap the queen. So queen back to b2, and now knight to a5, and this knight is now coming to c4. We have bishop to b4, now challenging the queen, and the queen back to e6. Keeping an eye on the e7 pawn, while also pressuring the e2 pawn. Ding plays e3, and now knight to c4, with an attack on the queen. Queen to a2 and bishop to b5. And if you look at this position before bishop to b5, it's a very nice position for both players, but Ding is the one who has the extra pawn, and it's a passed a pawn, so it's not just any pawn. But Fabi goes bishop to b5 here. He threatens a lot of nasty discoveries here, and here he allows Ding a certain tactic. It's not the most clever of tactics. It's bishop captures on e7, just winning another pawn while opening up an attack towards his bishop here, and you don't really have a good reply to this. If you capture, just rook captures here and you start pushing your pawn here. However, unlikely, Ding misses this tactic. Like I said, might be because it's very late where he's at, it's past 1 a.m. And it also could be that you're just not expecting Fabi to blunder basically the game like that. So instead he goes queen to e1, and now comes rook f to b8, quickly defending that bishop. So knight to d2 offers more trades, and now queen to d7 makes room for the e5 pawn. We have knight to b3, now with maybe ideas of shifting the knight over to c5, but e5 immediately. We have d captures, knight captures, and now comes bishop to c3, just challenging Fabi's bishop on g7. We have bishop to c4. Now Fabi will shift all of his attention onto that a2 pawn. You want to play something like rook a6, double rooks on the a file, and go after, well, that pawn. So queen to d2, the queen will also help out with the defense, and queen to f5 now, with ideas of maybe delivering a check here, forcing white to give up the light square bishop. So rook to d1, also Ding wants to keep an eye on the d3 square, and now h5, preparing h4 to bust open Ding's king side. We have knight to d4 attacking the queen, and queen back to d7. And now h4. Ding doesn't allow Fabi to push h4. And rook to a3 now. This is how Fabi decides to double up rooks on the a file. We have rook d to c1, adding more protection to the bishop here, and now just rook b to a8, now threatening to just straight up win this pawn. And here Ding defends with rook to c2, and there really isn't a nicer way to defend. You have to play something. You could go for knight to f3, offer this trade on e5, but in the end black always captures on a2. So Ding tries rook to c2. This defends the pawn. However, it gives Fabi this maneuver, bishop to d3. Where it's impossible to go rook here because of knight to c4, winning material. So Ding is forced to go back to c1, and Fabi just repeats bishop to c4 because Fabi is now happy with a draw. It's Armageddon. So Ding has to figure out something else. He goes knight to b3 instead, now puts pressure on the d5 pawn, and queen to f5, again going for that f3 square, while also keeping an eye on the d3 square with all of these pieces. So Ding repeats rook to d1, but now Fabi finds the exquisite knight to f3 check with bishop captures, and now a nice Zwischenzug, bishop captures on c3. Queen captures on c3, and now queen captures on f3, and Fabi has successfully traded off pretty much everything, and now it's a pretty equalish position. If Ding goes queen to a1, everything is nicely defended. That you will have to give up the a2 pawn, but you know, we've established that a long time ago. Let's say knight d4, and the game continues. However, Ding here played queen to b2. He decided to keep an eye on the pawn, not interested in giving it up. However, this blunders the game for Ding, and thus the match. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the move that wins the game for Fabi while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who noticed that the queen is also attacking the rook on d1, congratulations on spotting it. Not that you need to capture it right away, but for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's rook captures on a2. This is what Fabi played, and it was in this position on move 36 that Ding Liren resigned the game, and with it the match. So very interesting, turn of events. First, Ding winning game 3, Fabi needing to win on demand. Then Fabi wins, even though Ding had a winning position. He could trap that rook, a quarantined rook, and also here a couple of very nice chances missed by Ding. And of course, that's all Fabi needs to win the match. So of course here you resign because there is no move. If you capture the rook, then first black will capture this one with check. You move the king, and then just rook captures here. Queen captures, and you just pick up the knight, and that's it. Or even there's a forced mate after bishop to f1 check, which is just a very nice maneuver. Bishop to f1 check, king g1, bishop to h3, a discovered check, king h2, and now of course queen f3 will force checkmate, as this is the threat of mate. You cannot defend it, and after king captures, of course queen to h1 is mate. So that was also in the position. But Ding, of course, decided not to do anything after rook captures on a2, and he just resigned the game. So really exciting stuff. Excellent win for Fabi, and we're going to discuss the standings after we show all the games that I'm intending to show from today. But this is the last video I'll be uploading today. I'm pretty tired, and well, there's always tomorrow to finish off for Nepo versus MVL games. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Mark Magnier and Ilgun Sevic for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Magnus Invitational until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.